Hello and welcome to WION Live Broadcast. I'm Ross Cullen, joining you live from Paris, and these are the top headlines this hour. The EU's anti-fraud body accuses French far-right leader Marine Le Pen and her associates of embezzlement. The allegations come amid her battle with Emmanuel Macron ahead of the second round of the French presidential election. At least 6 people are killed and several injured in Russian strikes on the western Ukrainian city of Lviv. The strikes come as Russia intensifies attacks in and around the capital, Kyiv. More trouble for UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who's now been accused of starting a Downing Street party in November 2020, in which he allegedly poured drinks for his staff and consumed alcohol himself. Shanghai reports its first COVID-19 fatalities since the start of its weeks-long lockdown after the deaths of 3 elderly people with underlying conditions. Backed by surging prices of crude oil and natural gas, India's wholesale price inflation rises to a 4-month high of 14.5% in March.
Dans mes bras, venez dans mes bras.
Ces violences, ces incestes, le soir revenir dans l'Europe. Personne jamais ne relève leur incohérence.
It's less than 1 week to go now before the final round of the French presidential election. These are the final days that the 2 candidates have left to try to woo voters, and these top contenders are also pacing themselves for one of the crucial events of the election. That's the presidential debate. It's a live, televised event where incumbent President Emmanuel Macron will face his far-right challenger, Marine Le Pen. Before stepping back from campaigning, both the candidates have scheduled low-key meetings to try to prepare for the debate. In 2017, the same 2 candidates faced off at this stage of the campaign. But this time, the challenger says she is going to be more prepared. Marine Le Pen will try to present a more moderate face to voters. She is planning to stress her plans to tackle rising living costs rather than her usual topics of immigration and religion. Over the weekend, Emmanuel Macron assured his supporters that he would focus on making France free of fossil fuels. He slammed Le Pen as a climate sceptic. But Marine Le Pen responded by accusing Emmanuel Macron of trying to exclude her from the environmental debate.
Mais c'est ça, je ne sais même pas sur quoi ils se fondent pour dire cela. Je n'ai jamais été climato-sceptique. J'ai un projet qui précisément tient compte de l'environnement, tient compte de l'écologie. Je vois pas comment on peut être climato-sceptique quand on discute, par exemple, avec les vignerons, comme je l'ai fait à de très multiples reprises durant les 31 semaines de campagne que j'ai pu faire, et qui nous expliquent que, évidemment, eux-mêmes constatent, bien entendu, dans leur production agricole, dans leur vendange, qu'il y a un changement du climat. Donc,
Now, the latest opinion polls still suggest that Emmanuel Macron has the edge. He's scoring between 53 and 55% of the second round votes, compared to Le Pen, 44 to 47% of those votes. However, analysts maintain there is no room for complacency ahead of next Sunday's crucial second round vote. Now, before we move on, here's a quick glance of the 2017 presidential debate, which was held in Paris.
De toute façon, la France sera dirigée par une femme, ce sera ou moi ou Madame Merkel. Alors, elle est là la réalité, mais bien évidemment que oui.
Ces formules
elle est là,
ridicules.
Elle est là
mais
la
vous
réalité.
Savez, heureusement, notre pays a eu des dirigeants visionnaires.
Calmez-vous, laissez-moi terminer.
Je suis très calme, Madame Le Pen.
Non, je sais
c'est
que
vous
êtes
qui m'avez
agacée.
interrompu.
As the race to the Elysee Palace nears its conclusion, trouble is, though, mounting for Marine Le Pen after the European Union's anti-fraud body, OLAF, accused her and her associates of embezzling more than $600,000 during their time as members of the European Parliament. Now, French prosecutors say they are examining the reports which they received on the 11th of March. French media reporting that the OLAF body accuses Marine Le Pen of misappropriating more than $140,000 of public money while she was in office. It also accuses 3 other former MEPs, including Marine Le Pen's father, Jean-Marie, of misusing European Parliament funds, while the report details that none of the accused profited directly from that money. It does claim that the funds were used for staff and event expenses. Now, there has been no official statement on the accusations from Marine Le Pen, but her lawyer, Rodolphe Bosselu, while speaking to French media, he denied all the allegations and raised suspicions on the timing of the report. He said, quote, "The presidential hopeful deserved the right to take legal action against anyone linked to the party who may have committed misconduct without her knowledge." He also said that Le Pen has not been summoned by any French judicial authority, and neither my client nor I have seen or been sent the OLAF report, he said, adding that the investigation into the accusation was opened in 2016 and Le Pen was questioned in writing by post in March 2021. But these are not the first accusations of embezzlement against the far-right candidate or her party. In 2017, an investigation was opened against Le Pen on suspicion of having given party members fake jobs as assistants at the European Parliament. She's accused of embezzling public funds and complicity as part of the judicial investigation. This case of alleged misuse of European Union funds to pay parliamentary assistants is still under investigation. These accusations of misappropriating funds could hurt Le Pen's chances in the upcoming polls. According to the latest survey, she's already trailing behind President and now candidate Emmanuel Macron.
As France votes to elect a new president, it's Macron versus Le Pen again. Macron, Le Pen advanced to April 24th runoff. Pro-European economic liberal versus far-right nationalist. Will Macron win a second term?
Et donc, parce que
Or will France choose its first woman leader?
The French president has himself admitted that this election...
WION gets you ground reports from Paris. French election 2022. WION continuous coverage.
Moving on, and Russia has bombarded cities across Ukraine, with at least 4 missile strikes reported to have landed in the western city of Lviv. Ukrainian officials say 6 people have been killed and 11 are injured. And the residents of Mariupol have woken up to more fatalities this morning, with bodies covered in blankets scattered along the ruined streets of the city. Surviving residents were seen passing the bodies as they made their way through the remnants of their hometown. Moscow says its forces had almost completely seized the port city, and after giving an ultimatum to surrender last night, well, here's what happened.
A deadline for Ukrainian troops holed up in Mariupol to lay down their arms came and went on Sunday. Russia issued the ultimatum for the outnumbered soldiers who have been defending the smouldering Azovstal steel works. But several hours after the deadline, in the early hours of the morning, and there was no sign of surrender. Azovstal, one of Europe's largest metallurgical plants, has become a last stand for the defending forces. Moscow says its soldiers have cleared the urban areas of Mariupol and are almost completely in control. Having failed to overcome Ukrainian resistance in the north, the Russian military is now focused on Donbass. Capturing the eastern region's main port city would be a major strategic prize for Russia, connecting territory it holds in Donbass with the Crimea region it annexed in 2014. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said his government was in contact with the troops at Azovstal. Speaking on Saturday, he accused Russia of trying to destroy everyone in Mariupol and said killing the soldiers would put paid to peace efforts. It's unclear how many soldiers are inside the steelworks. Satellite images have shown smoke and fire coming from the area, which is riddled with tunnels underneath. Meanwhile, Russia continued with long-range attacks on other locations in Ukraine, all part of what it calls a special military operation. Local media reported an explosion in Kyiv, though the capital's deputy mayor said air defence systems had thwarted Russian attacks. The mayor of the nearby city Brovary said a missile attack had damaged infrastructure. According to the RIA news agency, Russia said it had destroyed an ammunition factory near the capital.
To Sweden now, and clashes have taken place for a fourth day in several cities, sparked by the apparent burning of the Islamic holy book, the Quran. The police clashed with far-right and anti-immigrant groups, and at least 3 people have been hit by police bullets so far. The violence began last week after the leader of a Danish far-right political party organised a demonstration. The leader, named Rasmus Paludan, reportedly had permission for a series of demonstrations across Sweden during the Easter weekend, and the said person is known for having burnt the Quran. Ahead of planned right-wing extremist demonstrations, counter-protesters attacked police in some places. Police and protesters engaged in a series of clashes, a series of incidents taking place in the southern city of Malmö. Several policemen have reportedly been injured, and litter bins, a bus and a car were all set on fire. Swedish police said in a statement 3 people seemed to have been hit by ricochets, adding that none of the injuries was life-threatening. Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson has condemned the violence. Sunday's clashes in Norrköping were the second there in 4 days. On the first occasion, the demonstrators had protested against a rally by anti-immigration and anti-Islam groups. Danish-Swedish politician Rasmus Paludan was due to lead the rally, but he eventually abandoned it. Now, Iraq's foreign ministry took note of the incident, calling it a provocation to the feelings of Muslims. The ministry summoned the Swedish chargé d'affaires in Baghdad. Iraq's foreign ministry warned that the affair could have serious repercussions on relations between Sweden and Muslims in general, that is, both Muslim and Arab countries and also Muslim communities in Europe. Meanwhile, Britain's partygate controversy is rearing its head again, spelling more trouble for UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Mr Johnson originally denied even attending the 10 Downing Street gatherings during the 2020 lockdowns, but it now turns out one of the celebrations could have been held during the lockdown and in fact been led by Boris Johnson himself. Newspaper reports in the UK are claiming that Johnson showed up at a gathering in November 2020 and started drinking with the attendees. The gathering was intended to celebrate the departure of his aide, Lee Kane, but turned into a party once Johnson started pouring drinks for everyone. The British Prime Minister allegedly poured the drinks, toasting his aide, and has often urged staff to let off steam, and that's when this particular Downing Street gathering took on the nature of a COVID-19 lockdown-breaking party. The development has heaped more pressure on the Prime Minister before he meets British lawmakers this week. Johnson has been accused of misleading Parliament over the matter by opposition MPs. Last year, he told Parliament that all rules were followed in Downing Street during the pandemic. Johnson was recently fined by police for attending a social gathering in Downing Street while lockdown restrictions were in place across the country. Police are investigating further gatherings and he could still receive further fines. Mr Johnson has apologised, but the British Premier will appear in the House of Commons on Tuesday to explain why he was fined by police. On Wednesday, Johnson could face a vote on whether he will be referred to the Parliamentary Privileges Committee. If he's found to have broken the rules, Mr Johnson could be suspended from Parliament for a contempt. Labour's deputy leader, Angela Rayner, said that Johnson not only attended the parties, but was a ringleader at least one, adding that he deliberately misled the British people at every turn. Following the string of accusations, Johnson has received a rebuke from the UK's leading constitutional expert, Peter Hennessy. Historian and member of the Upper House of Parliament, Hennessy said, quote, "Johnson has thrust Britain into a constitutional crisis by breaking the law he set for pandemic restrictions," adding that Mr Johnson has effectively shredded the ministerial code. That code sets out the standards of conduct that are expected of British ministers. Staying in the UK and onto Britain's controversial refugees deal with Rwanda, that is a plan which has now been condemned by the Archbishop of Canterbury. Here's our report.
Happy Easter to all of you.
The head of the Church of England has criticised Britain's plan to send tens of thousands of asylum seekers to Rwanda. The arrangement, announced by Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Thursday, is aimed at stemming the flow of migrants into the UK. But it drew immediate and heavy criticism from politicians and charities.
To himself.
Now the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, speaking at an Easter Sunday service, has added his voice, saying the scheme poses serious ethical questions.
The principle must stand the judgment of God, and it cannot. It cannot carry the weight of resurrection justice. It cannot carry the weight of life conquering death. It cannot carry the weight of the resurrection that was revealed first to the least valued. For as a policy it privileges the rich and the strong. And it cannot carry the weight of our national responsibility as a country formed by Christian values, because subcontracting out our responsibilities, even to a country that seeks to do well like Rwanda, is the opposite of the nature of God, who himself took responsibility for our failures.
Welby is the spiritual leader of the worldwide Anglican Communion of about 85 million Christians. Last year, more than 28,000 migrants and refugees made the crossing from mainland Europe to Britain. The arrival of migrants on rickety boats has been a source of tension between France and Britain, especially after 27 migrants drowned when their dinghy deflated in November.
Cyber fraud is becoming increasingly common, and some hackers are even exploiting people's desire to bring home a pet. Here are the details.
Are you planning to bring a puppy home? We're here to tell you that you should not buy one online. We say this for two reasons. Firstly, most online puppies are from puppy mills and are sold by irresponsible dog breeders. Secondly, and this reason is the focus of our story today, puppy scams are becoming more common. Miscreants are exploiting your love for pets. In fact, there has been a significant increase in puppy scams since the COVID-19 pandemic started. According to the Better Business Bureau, in 2021, 35% of all online shopping scams reported to it were pet scams. In the United States, Google sued an alleged puppy scammer who used its services to sell fake pets. This happened after elder advocacy group AARP tipped Google about the scam last September. It all started after a South Carolina resident registered a complaint. He had sent $700 in digital gift cards to an online seller for a basset hound puppy that never arrived. Google is seeking monetary damages and a court order banning the accused user from Cameroon. The lawsuit says the puppy scam harmed Google's reputation and the company had to spend over $75,000 to investigate this case. Last year, another man from a country in Central Africa pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud in a scheme to trick American consumers into paying fee for pets that were never delivered. The victims were induced to make successive payments based on false claims about transportation issues, about the animal needing insurance, and other such matters. If you must buy a pet off the internet and are engaging with a breeder or seller online, do keep these things in mind. If the seller is unwilling to send you photos and videos of the puppy or kitten other than what's advertised on their website, it is a red flag. See the pet in person before paying any money. Also, be wary if the price seems too good to be true and the seller insists on getting money up front. Ask for the company name, number, and street address. See what Google search results pop up. If you can't find anything, the name and address are probably fake. Lastly, if the seller refuses to speak to you on the phone and prefers to handle communication only by emails, it's most likely a scam. Pets are not gifts or disposable or returnable items. Getting one is a lifetime commitment. If possible, adopt a stray or one from a local animal shelter. But if you must buy one, then look for a responsible breeder for whom animal well-being is a top priority.
Hundreds of carnival revellers and samba musicians gathered in downtown Rio de Janeiro on Sunday to kick off this year's massive Easter street party. Revellers donned colourful costumes to mark the ceremony. We'll leave you with some pictures of the party. I'm Ross Cullen. Thank you for watching.
Additions, right? Arab?